Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sliwinski. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I live in Akron, Ohio. So I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know that we did. We had a lot of really good food and a lot of cuddles with my new grandbaby. It was really, really fun. But now it's back to work. So today I'm not going to make just one card for you. I'm going to make 5 cards. So this is a very cool technique. It is SIP. Stamps, ink, and paper. And we're going to make 5 cards with one set of stamping on our paper. So I'm going to turn the camera around and we're going to begin. So as I begin, I want to show you some of the cards that I created. So I have 2 like this, and 2 like this, and then this one. So these are the 5 cards. And I want to thank my upline, Dina Rico. She is the one who gave me the idea for this. And the way you do this layout is you start with a full-size sheet of paper. So in this case, we're going to be using Very Vanilla. So I have an 8.5 by 11, and I have marked it off to show you what our dimensions are going to be. So we're going to have 4 7/8, and we're going to have a line all the way down. So you can see that goes all the way down. And then we are going to cut that piece off and then cut that into widths that are 3 5/8. So you will get 3 of those. And then you have 3 5/8 that's remaining on this side, and you'll cut that into 2 more cards. So you'll have 5 cards that are 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. And when you do that, you're only going to have a small piece of scrap that's left over. So you're going to have this little piece here and this tiny little strip at the bottom. So that's all that you'll have as scrap. So when I learned this technique, what we were told is to draw a light pencil line at these markings. Okay, but I didn't think that I would like that, so I wanted to do it a little bit differently. So the way I chose to do it is I'm going to cut that. And I'm going to get out my little trimmer here. So we're going to take our full-size sheet of paper, and we're going to go to the 4 7/8 line, and then I am just going to cut that right off. All right, so then I've got 2 pieces. So this one I'm going to cut at 3 5/8 3 times. Move that down, cut it again at 3 5/8. And then one more. And so then you can see this is our little bit of scrap. So we have those 3 pieces, and then this remaining piece is already 3 5/8. So I'm going to cut this at 4. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. 4 7/8. And again at 4 7/8. Oh, get it over that little edge. And this is the other piece that is going to be scrap. So I'm going to put those aside. So we have our 5 pieces. And then what I wanted to do was just tape these together. So I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to tape using a little bit of just regular old Scotch tape, and I'm just taking a very tiny amount. So I am going to piece these back together, and I'm going to use my bone folder. Sometimes you get that little bit of a lip from when you do your trimmer. So I am just going to stick this together with a little bit of tape to hold it. I'm going to smooth out that edge. Again, just a little bit of tape. And put that so it matches exactly. For me, it was just easier to have this done like that rather than the pencil lines that sometimes get covered up with some of your designs. So the edge that you're going to see from piecing it back together is really clear, and then you will have no confusion. And they do come apart really easy. So I have our 3 pieces. I'll make sure I've got the right side up. There's my tape. and tape. All right, so then I'm going to flip this again and just tape these two together. So a little bit more Scotch tape. And again, I'm going to line it up so that my top edge is right there. And I'm just going to put a little bit of tape at that seam and a little bit down here. So we have our pieces. It's very clear where our seams are. So for this one, I have chosen to use the Forever Fern stamp set. And then for my sentiments, I'm going to be using the Biggest Wish and the Good Feelings. So the colors I have today are Granny Apple Green. I have Parakeet Party with this stamp. I have Shaded Spruce with these two little ones. And I have Garden Green. So I just wanted a whole variety of different greens. So I'm going to start out with my biggest stamp first. And we are going to be stamping at the seams. So I'm going to ink up my stamp. And I want to stamp so that I can get coverage on multiple pieces at once. And you're going to just turn your stamp around and you're going to go in different positions. And every time you do this, you're going to have different looks to what you get. It all depends on your placement. So I think I'll put a little bit up here. So for the most part, I am staying right at the seams. And one thing that I liked about this is when Dina showed it, she did these seams, but I really liked it stamping along this edge too. So I'm going to be stamping there. So we're going to close that one up, set it aside. We may come back to it. I'm going to go to my next color, which is the Parakeet Party. So we're going to keep stamping until we can fill this in. So you're going to position your stamps all kinds of different ways. You're going to get overlapping of colors. So you do want to choose stuff that's going to look good together when you stamp it. So for this one, like I said, I wanted to stamp so that I've got some at that edge. And you try to get some of every stamp on every card. So when you've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you want to make sure that you are getting some of this one, some of each one of them on all of your stamps, or all of your pieces rather. All right, so that looks pretty nice. And next I'm going to go with my Garden Green. So I'm kind of going down in size. It's harder to fill in bigger stamps after you filled in a lot already. So that's why I started out with my big stamps. And then we're going to just keep going in and filling this in. And you can make it as dense as you want, or you could really leave it pretty sparse. But let's get one here. I think I want a little bit at this corner. And I don't have anything up at this one, so I'm going to put some there. And I think maybe just a little bit there. Sometimes when you take them apart, you're going to see that you're going to need to fill in a little bit more. So there we go. And then I have my last color, which is the Shaded Spruce. And I have these two leaves, which are going in two different directions. So I'm going to start out with this one. And I really like this because it adds that depth of that dark color. And it really makes it pop. So we're stamping this. And now remember, I'm going to stamp it in the other direction as well. And we're just really filling in with our smallest stamp. And I think we're going to need something a little bit more in this corner. So we're going to probably go back and add. And then how about over there? All right, so that corner is looking a little light, but it might be fine. So I'm going to close this up. I'm going to set these inky stamps out of the way so we don't accidentally get them. All right, so now we have all of our stamping done. And I'm going to just go in the back and I'm going to peel off carefully my Scotch tape. Sometimes it will pull up a little bit of your paper. It's okay, it's a pretty small piece, so you should be able to peel it apart fairly readily. And if it does peel a little bit off, it's okay because it's peeling it off from the back side. So a little bit here. Couple more. And I could cut this one off if I wanted to as well. And my last one. And even though it's a little bit tedious to do the tape, I like that I didn't have to erase the lines. And as I stamped and it got, you know, fuller, it was easier to see. So now we have all these different pieces. And this one is a really light one. I think it's going to be okay. But you could go back and you could stamp it a little bit more if you wanted to. But I think it's going to work out just fine. So I'm going to use it, I think probably in this orientation. So now it's time to add our sentiments. And so I have a couple that I picked out. Like I said, I was using the Biggest Wish and the Good Feelings. So I'm going to start out with these here that are nice and open. And I'm going to put this really bold happy birthday right here. So I'm going to do that in the shaded spruce. I really liked my sentiments in this nice dark color. So I'm going to ink up my happy birthday. I had already put them on my stamp. Oh, looks like I've got a little bit of a goober there, so let me just stamp it off. And then I'm going to clean that. See, I got a goober there, so I'm just going to clean that off. And we're going to stamp it again. Go through all this work and you don't want your sentiment to mess up your card. So I'm going to press that down. Should have grabbed my little pierce mat, but that came out very nicely. And I think I will do that on this one as well. This makes a really nice card for anybody, but I think this is a great one for guys because there's no florals on it. And so sometimes we struggle to give them for the guys. So I'm always in need of happy birthday cards. I give cards to everybody that I work with. So there we've got our two happy birthdays. And I think we could use this one here. I think we're going to go with this happy birthday. Make sure that looks good. I'm going to press that down. Okay. And then for this one, I am going to do Hello Friend. So I'm going to put that, I think, a little bit down. No, I'm going to put it up in the middle. All right, and then I think I'm going to do another happy birthday because, no, how about a thank you? I've got a thank you setting out here. All right, and that looks fabulous. Okay, so we have our card fronts almost ready to go. So one thing that you could do is you could add a little bit of a spritz if you wanted to. So I have my Stampin' Right marker, and I could just take it and flick a little spritz on it. I kind of like that, so I'm going to add that to some of these other ones. My first samples, I did not spritz, and so I will show them both ways so you can see which ones you like better. So I'm going to add that, and I think I'm also going to do it on this one. And I think I do want to add a little bit more up here. I just think it's a little bit too empty. So I'm going to go back and pull out my garden green. I'm going to turn this over. And we're going to add just a little bit more up in that corner. And I think that fills it out a little bit nicer. So when you're, cutting these apart or taking them apart, you can go ahead and you can add more if you need to. So then what we have to do next is we are going to mat that. So I have a piece that's cut into a 3 3/4 by 5. Oh, actually, I don't think I cut that 3 3/4 by 5. Let me grab my trimmer. I think I may have cut it 5 1/2. I'm so used to doing that. I did. So let me just cut this down. All right. So then we're just going to have a tiny little border around it. All right. So then we take this. You could have a little bit bigger border if you wanted to, but I liked just the tiniest of borders, and that really frames it nicely. So then we're going to need our card base. So we have a very vanilla card base. And we're just going to go ahead and fold that right in half. Crease it with our bone folder. So if you are making a true Stamps, Ink, and Paper card, you would just go ahead and glue this down, okay? So that looks lovely. We can go ahead and do that, or if you want, we can add some dimension. So I think I am going to add dimension. I have some samples that I did that are just glued down, and then I have some other ones that have dimensionals. But I love dimensionals. It's not a whole lot, but I think it just elevates your card. No pun intended. But it just takes it up to the next level. All right, so we are gonna make sure we've got this opening the right way. I'm gonna center that on there. All right, so there we have it. So I would go ahead and finish that. I'm not gonna make you watch, but here are the ones that I did with the spritzing. These are the ones without. So then I'm just going to show you the other cards again. These are the ones that I had finished earlier. These don't have the spritzing. There's a happy birthday. And as you can see, some of them have a little bit more stamping. It just depends. Every time that you do it, it's going to give you something different. So now I want to show you some other examples. So this first one was the one that Dina had demonstrated. And it's using the Christmas season stamp set and also the Brightest Glow, which has all kinds of holiday sentiments. So this one, these are the cards that I made. I'm going to move my stamps out of the way. And so I had done most of them with just the Merry Christmas. I did another one with another sentiment, but I really like this one better on the inside. So if I were to do more of these, I think I'd keep Merry Christmas on the outside. But this is the one where I just did the seams, and I didn't do this side of the card, and I think I like it better where we're stamping that edge as well. But, give it a try and see what you like. So those were my first ones I did after my inspiration from Dina. Then this next one, I used the watercolor shapes. I really wanted to make something a little bit more geometric. So I used all kinds of pinks and purples. I did a fresh Freesia card base. And these were the cards that I made with that one. And then I just stamped some more of those shapes along my envelope. But isn't that so fun? Just think of your colors that you could do with this. And this, again, would be great for anybody. Pinks and purples might not be what you want to give to your guy friends, but, you could do this in blues or, Bermuda Bay, Coastal Cabana, and some Parakeet Party. Those would be really pretty together. Then my next set, I did using the True Beauty stamp set. So here, I did kind of really bright colors. and then I matted them in a variety of colors. So sometimes I did the Pacific Point, and then sometimes I did it with the green, or this is Granny Apple Green and Daffodil Delight. So those came out really pretty. And then I just stamped a flower on my envelope. And then I thought, could you do this with line art? So all the ones that I've shown you so far have been using big, bold stamps that are full. They're colored images, so they're very colorful. But what about black and white images? So I pulled out this stamp set, Happiness Abounds, and I thought, I'm going to give it a try. Didn't know if I would like it or not, but in reality, I loved this one. And it was super fast because I wasn't changing colors. So I did all these cards, and then I added the pop of color in my sentiment instead of with my elements. So I kept the flowers and leaves all black and white. Again, I went super fast because I wasn't changing colors. And then I stamped most of my sentiments in the color that I used as my card base. And then this one I chose because the yellow really wouldn't show up as bright as I wanted it for the sentiment. I chose to stamp that in black and still use that yellow base. So what do you think? Are you going to give this a try? I really liked it. It's a fast way to make a whole bunch of cards. So look at your stamp sets and see what you can come up with. And let me know in the comments when I post this on my Facebook page what stamp set you tried. I'm going to put these back out so that you can see them. And if you wouldn't mind, share this video and give me a thumbs up. It does really help me, so I appreciate when people do that. If you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.